I'm James Holder. Welcome to Full Court Football 24. Quite privileged to be joined by former Premier League referee Mark Halsey. Mark, I've got to say, great to get you on the channel. Thanks for giving us a little bit of time today, mate.
You're welcome. It's good morning, James. It gets me away from a bit of pain. I let the missus carry on doing that. Yeah, don't be too long.
Hope everything's all right where you are. I know you're in Spain at the moment, so I'm hoping.
Yeah, it's. I know you've got the rain and snow, and very cold there. It's about 18, 19 degrees today. The sun is shining, and it's happy days. We've got to make the best of what's going on. Obviously, with the pandemic at the moment, it's awful what's going on around the world today. But we've got to do our best and keep smiling, haven't we?
How would you say Spain have handled the pandemic as a nation? How do you think they've dealt with it?
I think, to be fair, I think they've dealt with it very, very well, because when it for our first lockdown in March, I think it was March the 13th, we couldn't go out. We couldn't even go out for exercise. We had to stay in. It was a lockdown. The only time we could go out was one in a car to get your essentials, the grocery store or the chemist. That was it. The police were stopping everybody. Want to see proof of you've been shopping, proof of where you're going, essential shopping. So yeah, it was. We had a 12, 13 week solid lockdown, and obviously masks were mandatory from the moment we come out of lockdown. Masks were mandatory. As soon as you left your house, you had to have a mask. If you didn't have a mask, you were caught, fined straight away. No if or buts. So it's been. I think they've handled it very well. They've just last Thursday got into another lockdown. Shut all bars and restaurants for 2 weeks, and we have a curfew where we have to be in by 10 o'clock. And of course, if you get caught out, you're fined. So we have a curfew, and also they've brought in you can't go around to other people's houses for 2 weeks. So you're not allowed to house share, or you're not. I think you're allowed to have one friend come into your house in a bubble. So, but so we've just gone into another one now. But I think to be fair, I think they've handled it very, very well.
Now, you're known to fans of the Premier League, obviously your work as a referee, being sort of one of the most recognisable sort of referees during that period. A lot of the big matches you would have been in charge of.
Yeah.
What's it like officiating such big matches?
Well, I get asked this question a lot, James. I mean, for me, coming up through the leagues, starting refereeing out on the Welling Hatfield Sunday League, into the Hearts County League, into the Isthmian League, into the conference, which is now the National, and into the Football League. I think all it is you're refereeing 22 players. But then as you go up the ladder, the surroundings change. So the crowds get bigger, the stadiums get bigger, and at the same time, you're still only refereeing 22 players. Listen, I mean, a lot of people say, "Oh, does it bother you? Does the crowd? Do you hear the crowd noise? Does the abuse that's thrown at you? Does it bother you?" I mean, to be honest with you, you're fully focused on what you're doing, and you just shut it all out. And if you're not fully focused, then you're going to make big key match errors. So I think, and it's about, as you're going up, that mental toughness. If you don't have that mental toughness, then you don't succeed at the top.
What ground would you have least liked visiting as a referee? What ground most stick?
I think sometimes you lose. I mean, referees least like visiting grounds where perhaps they've had an indifferent performance. And I think I didn't really have a ground where I didn't like going to. I mean, I loved every minute of it. From refereeing in League One, League Two, the Championship, the Premier League. I treat every game as if it was my last. Every game was like a cup final, and I love visiting all the grounds. I mean, it was just fantastic to be. Able to get to the best. Got to the best one in the top 18 referees in the UK. Remember, there's 35,000 referees in the UK. And then obviously got into the top the top 7 because I become an international referee. So, you know, I was one of the top 7 referees in the UK, which was a great feeling and an honour to be a part of. And obviously, the Premier League and the PGML and the FA gave me that chance. So, you know, I have a lot to thank them for how far I went. So, but I enjoyed every minute. I loved it. I mean, I'm a lover of football. I love football. I'm a football fan. As you know, I played football from an early age right the way up till I retired. Before coming in for a referee. So, yeah, I'm not just a referee. I'm a football lover, a football fan. And you know, some people, you know, question some of the qualities of referees today. But you know, I was a players referee. You know, I had empathy for the game. I gave players a chance. I think it's important that you engage with the players. You speak to the players. You get the respect to the players. And respect to the players doesn't mean just by walking out onto the field of play and commanding respect. That respect comes with your accuracy of your decision making. You know, picking up the little niggles. And making the right call and talking to the players. And if you have made a mistake on the field, you say, hey, okay, lads, sorry, I may have got that wrong, but you know, let's get on with it. And that engagement where you're having a banter with the players, I think it's massive today. And I still think you can referee like that, referee with a personality. And it all depends who's, you know, the leadership and the direction they're getting. And it's about being naturally gifted and not manufactured in the way you referee football matches. So I think it's, you know, it's important that you know, to get that respect, it's the way you conduct yourself with the players. You know, you can laugh with the players, you can joke with the players, but when you get that opportunity to stamp your authority on the game, you must do it, because the players know their referees. Players know what referees are weak and what they can get out of and what they can't get out of referees. So, as I say, you know, you have to, you know, and that don't mean stamping your authority on the game with yellow cards and red cards. I mean, yeah, listen, there are times when you've got to show a red card and a yellow card and a red card, because, you know, it's about managing the game, managing the players, managing the event. And there are some things you just cannot manage. But, you know, a lot of that you can with, you know, you can stop a yellow card happening. You can stop a red card happening by engaging with the players and having awareness of what's going on around you. And as I said, talking to them all the time. You know, I think it helped me playing football. Doesn't mean to say that because you've played the game, you're going to be a good referee. You've got to work at it. You've got to work at you know, what's right for you, what's good for you. And be your own person, and that's the way I set myself all the way up the ladder, being my own person and refereeing the game how I wanted it to be refereed. And I always remember playing football, and you know, at non-league level, and liking referees that let the game flow and engage with the players. And there wasn't too many, but there were a few when I was coming up, and I thought, you know, I like the way you referee, and I thought, you know, I took that into me getting into my games. And I used to watch a couple of guys, you know, as a player, I never took much notice of referees, and you know, I never believed I'd become a referee. I can't believe I'd become a referee, and I can't say the words that what my brother said to me, because he's manager of a non-league team, Ware FC in the Ishman League, and when I said to him I'm going to become a referee, I can't tell you what he'd come out with, because we grew up together playing football together. Playing sometimes in the same team, and then I ended up refereeing some of these teams, and I gave him absolutely nothing. He used to give me some abuse, but no, listen, I mean, I loved every minute of it. I think the main thing that I got out of, you know, refereeing the top players and the top games was, I think if you ask, you know, 99% of the players and the fans, that I gained their respect to the way I refereed football matches. As I said, I always gave players a chance, always gave them a chance, always. But there were times when, you know, I had to come down with a straight yellow card because it was something I couldn't manage. The challenge was so reckless that I had to take action.
Now, no young lad dreams of growing up to be a referee.
I can assure you this one didn't either.
Unless I'm mistaken, it's just a calling or a profession that you sort of grow into and seize as and when the opportunity arises. What was your childhood like? You mentioned you played football. Would you have come from the academy system, or how would that have worked for yourself?
Yeah, listen, I was a goalkeeper. And people say you've got to be crazy to be a goalkeeper, but even crazier to become a referee. But no, I remember starting out as an outfield player. My first game for my junior side. We didn't. Then in them days we didn't start playing, so we were in the last year of our junior school. I think that's year 6 now, isn't it? Yeah. I think that's year 6 in today's terms, isn't it? And then year 7 is your start of your secondary school, isn't it? I think. So we never started playing football till at year 6 of our junior school. And I always remember getting me first start in midfield, and no one else. After that, no one else wanted to go goal, and I was put in goal, and that's where I stayed for the rest of my playing career in goals. And as I say, thoroughly enjoyed it coming up playing for the school team. I mean, I played for the school. Once we got to secondary school, I played for the school team, football team, rugby team, cricket team, basketball team, in the athletics team, cross country, and I just love sport. Just love my sport. I played club cricket for 20 odd years in Hatfield Hyde, in a club in Welling Garden City. Great 20 years. Spent playing cricket there. Had some great banters. You see it recently in the test matches now, but we used to have some good banter with I was a left arm bowler, then on to the lot of verbal with the batsman and whatever. It was good crack. But as I say, I found it quite difficult when obviously moving up, playing for. We had a team. What was it playing for? We called ourselves on a Sunday Walnut Wanderers. Then we changed our name to Hatfield High. So I played for that team all the way through. It was a fantastic school. Pals and some fantastic players that sort of went by the wayside, and unfortunately we've lost a few of those recently because of we're all getting older now, aren't we? So and COVID, I've lost some pals playing football through it, and a pal playing cricket through COVID. So it's awful times at the moment. And but I sort of grew up coming through. Then obviously back in my day, always wanted to be a professional footballer. But back in my day, you never got that chance until you were about 12, 13, because that's when you started getting scouted by professional clubs in that day. We never had under 10s, under 9s, under 8s, under 7s academies like you do today. And I really do believe that they should revert back to that, because I think it's too young. I really do think that age, 9, 10 is too young, too much of a pressure to put on young players going to academies. And most of them get rejected at 9, 10, 11, and they fall by the wayside. As I say, I never got. We weren't allowed to be spotted until we were 12, 13. And that's when we went to. We were picked up if we were good enough by clubs, and I was lucky enough to be picked up by Tottenham. Went training there for 2 to 3 years, and then obviously I was doing okay. I was doing really well, and then obviously I sort of fell by the wayside. Really, I didn't put enough into it. I think that's because obviously I grew up most of my life. My father left when I was really young. I think I was about 3 or 4 years of old when that happened. And I think that sort of, I think having that sort of father growing up behind you to egg you on and give you the encouragement that you needed. I think that sort of, I think that was a bit detriment to the way I play, moving up the ladder from schoolboy forms into apprentice forms, and then obviously onto professional forms. Who knows? Do you know what I mean? Who knows? I sort of just fell by the wayside as I got to 16. And when looking back now, I wished I'd had my time again. I wasn't committed enough. I wasn't committed like I should have been. And then I fell out into non-league, playing at likes of Hertford Town, Cambridge City, St Albans City, Cambridge City, and finishing off at my local club, Welling Garden City. So yes, and it is what it is. But I had some fantastic memories, fantastic times. Playing. It was great because when we were playing Saturdays, as teammates, normally on a Sunday. We played in the Welling Hatfield Sunday League, and we were playing against each other. So there's a few top teams around. Well, I think it was Welling Youth, Smith Kind of French, who I played for on a Sunday, playing against all our mates. So it was good fun. But getting back into moving from football, I think I sort of played up until I was about 28, 29, and that's when I sort of started thinking about. I fell out of love with football, thinking about what should I do.
How did you come about the idea of becoming a referee? Because no doubt you don't expect to go in at elite level. So did it start as a hobby to keep you involved in the game? Did it start out as a second income? How did the
No. I mean, listen, there wasn't a lot of money involved in football then. I got paid some good money when I was sort of in non-league football, but in refereeing at the time, it was you only got your match fee. But it was a good friend of mine, Russell Foster, who was I played with on a Sunday. It was a team called Wellingborough, and he ran the team, and he asked would I come and play in goal. So I went and played in goal for him, and he always used to play at the back, centre half. I mean, he was a big unit, was Russell, but by goodness, he was a filthy player. He was things he used to get up to behind the referee's back. Go bang, and he'll someone in the face, or he kick someone up the backside, and the referee's back was turned. He then became poacher turned gamekeeper. So he became a referee, and I could not believe that a good friend of mine, Russell Foster, the way he was on the field of play, became a referee, because he was notorious. Everyone knew him. Everyone knew he spent so many games, missing so many games through suspension as well when he did get caught. So, but yeah, he's and then obviously I was sort of playing in the Welling Hatfield Sun League. He was refereeing those our games, our big games in the Premier League of the Welling Hatfield Sun League, and we had some great banter, when he was a referee. But his football pitch, his house backed onto our cricket pitch, and obviously if you've played cricket or been involved in cricket, you go, when your side's batting, you go on that boundary walk around the boundary, putting the well to rights. And obviously, he always used to be at the back of his garden waiting for me. And, come on, Mark, why don't you come and join me? Why don't you come and be a referee? And I said, so I've got no interest being a referee whatsoever. You can stick that right up your backside. You carry on doing what you're doing, pal. You're doing a good job. We need people like you on a Saturday and Sunday. And he kept on at me for weeks because, obviously we played at home and away. And every time we played at home, he was there. He just kept that summer. I think it was the summer of 88, I think it was, summer of 88. We just kept on at me all the time from May till August. And I said, Russ, just leave. I don't want to be. I'm not interested. I don't want to be a referee. As I was thinking about going down, the coaching route and being a goalkeeper, coaching goalkeepers, or perhaps becoming a sort of a manager. And I thought about it that all the way through that summer, and then he just got hold of me it was in August. I think it was a Sunday, August. We were playing a league game, and he just said to me, "Come on, Mark, why don't you think about it?" I said, "All right, then I'll tell you what I do, because it still is now. I think you have to do an 8-week course." And I said, "There's no way I was doing an 8-week course. No way." I said, "Listen, I'll tell you what then, Russ." I said, "You give me the laws of the game. I will read the laws of the game, and then I will take the exam. If I can do that, I'll give it a go." So he asked the referee, I think it was the Welling Hatfield Referees Association, and I think it was it Hearts FA, and they agreed. So I could read the laws of the game, take the test to see where we go from. So I read through the laws of the game, took the test, and I passed. I had an exam and passed. And then I thought to myself, you know what, I'll give this a go. I'll see what I'm like, And I started refereeing in Welling Hatfield Sunday League, playing on a Saturday and then refereeing on a Sunday. And I quite enjoyed it. I really, because everyone knew me anyway, but I just really enjoyed it. So I decided then further down the line that perhaps, I've got to make a decision here. I started refereeing in the Hearts County Reserve League and running the line in the Premier League. That's what you done in them days. So I was refereeing reserve sections and running the line as an assistant referee in the Premier League. Well, I didn't care too much for running line. I was always been losing my concentration. I turned out to be obviously better for me, a better referee than I was an assistant. So listen, I sort of climbing the ladder, and I'm thinking I've got to make the choice here, because if I get sent off playing football, then I'll be be a suspension. And obviously, if you're suspended from playing football, you're also suspended from refereeing. That was what it was. That was what it was in them days. So I decided then to stop playing and concentrate on my refereeing career. And luckily for me, I was quite good at it, and I sort of went through the ladders pretty quickly.
You must have some stories from your sort of non-league refereeing days, because it's as much physical and as much of a battle on the pitch as much as it is a game of football. What's it like officiating them sort of games?
Yeah, listen, I mean, obviously people knew me, but as I said to you before, it's still it's no different whether you're coming through this. It's still the same. Players know who you are. Players get to know you. Players know what they can say to you and what they can get away with. And it's all about banter with them and making the right call. Listen, I mean, as I say, I loved it all. It was all banter when it goes on the pitch. Obviously, I can't say it's a sort of, once you're on that football pitch, it's the shop floor, and you know what goes on the shop floor. And that's what it is. You go out, you're doing battle with 22 players, and players will do what they can to get what they can out of you.
Ever had a non-league player try to chin you over a decision?
No, never. I never had that problem. Never. I always remember refereeing. I was refereeing at Hemel Hempstead, and I can't remember. I think the away team. I can't remember. I think it may have been Windsor. And I always remember second half, and there was something going on. There was a mass melee, and there was what happened. I think the Hemel Hempstead centre half chin. I think it was the Hemel Hempstead centre half chin one of the away players. And I'm thinking, what's gone on here? I haven't seen it. What has gone on? What has gone on here? I didn't have a Scooby-Doo. I didn't have a Scooby-Doo. So I just thought to myself, what had been going on through this game? What would been at each other? And I thought to myself, Mark, as a referee, you don't guess, and if you don't know, you don't take any action. So I just went up to this Hemel Hempstead player. I went, why did you do that? Why? He went, I'm sorry, ref, I just lost my head. Thanks very much. I went bang, red card, and off he went, and that was it. Do you know what I mean? I just had a bit of luck on that day. So yeah, I mean, those, you got to think on your feet sometimes, and it's one of those games where I just got away with it.
Now you got your big break in the form of Wimbledon Coventry. That was your first big game as an official referee.
Remember that? Yeah, 1-1.
How did that come about? Is it the same as getting an England call up? You'll get called up by the FA. How did that whole process work?
Well, I mean, it's as you go through the leagues. Obviously, you get watched, and as you go up from non-league, I mean, not being assessed very much in the non-league, then up into what was then the conference, which is now the National League. You then get proper assessors. You get Football League assessors, and I always remember my first season, I really struggled. I didn't struggle with games because I thought I was refereeing okay. It was the assessors that didn't like the way I was refereeing. I was getting slaughtered by assessors. Really? And I had a couple of letters. From the Football League warning me that if I didn't improve my form, I'll be hoiked off. When I'm thinking, I'm doing all right. The club marks were good, but the assessors' marks were that they weren't very good. So I always remember going to. I refereed at Farnborough. Farnborough, I think it was Farnborough and Dagenham Redbridge. The game went reasonably well. Went no problem at all. I mean, and in them days, the assessor didn't come in, so you didn't know who was there. So. When the assessment come through, it was a chap called Roy Capey, and he absolutely slaughtered me. And I think, oh my word, what have I done here? What have I gone here? What have I done wrong here? A local assessor come with, thought, said, oh, you done all right. I thought you had a good game, done well, this or that well. And then when this assessment come through from a football league assessor, absolutely slaughtered me. So I think I must have got about a 3 out of 10. So, you're thinking, oh my word, what's going on here? And obviously another letter came that, if I don't improve for the next season, I'll be hoiked off. So I think from that moment, I changed slightly my refereeing, refereeing for being a player's referee to being perhaps looking after number one, because, I enjoyed what I was doing. And I always remember refereeing in my second season. I was going okay, and I got an FA trophy. I think it was an FA trophy fourth round or fourth or fifth round, I think it was, and it was Carshalton v Woking, and it was a big local derby. And I always remember walking into the dressing room. Always one you think, oh, who's watching me today? Because it's important. It's important. Who's watching you, because you don't know whether you've got a referee friendly assessor who will sort of let you referee with a little bit of common sense, or an assessor that likes you to show yellow cards just so you can get your mark. It's not, it's the wrong way to referee, but that's what I had to do. That's what you have to do to get out of the National League. And all of a sudden, I think it was about 45 minutes before kickoff. Oh no, it's about an hour. It was an hour before kickoff. There was a knock at the door. I said, come in, and it was. Wait. No, it's me. It's enough.
That's because you knocked on the door.
Yeah, because I knocked on the door. Yeah, and so it was Roy Capey. I went, oh my, inside my body. Hello, Roy, thinking, oh my God, oh my God, and come in, Roy, come in. So I think he just come in to let me know he was here watching me today, remembering what he'd done to me the last game. So anyway, with that, I thought, I know exactly what I've got to do here. Exactly what I've got to do. I mean, it was a tough game, and I think I had about 6 or 7 in the book and one off. I sent Clive Walker off at Woking, who's then obviously been at both Chelsea, QPR. He weren't too happy with me, but it was two cautionable offences, so I hooked him off. And then obviously, after the game, he didn't come in the dressing room, but the assessment come through. It was absolutely glowing assessment, and I think that got me, my interview to get onto the Football League. Because in them days, we still do. You have to go for an interview. You get selected, and you go to sit before the panel, to be interviewed. I got the credentials to go and to referee on the Football League. Not worried about your natural ability. Obviously, they want to see what you like, your personality, how you handle things, how you deal with certain situations. And I wasn't in there very long, because I was told if you're not in there very long, they want you. So I wasn't in there very long. And then obviously got promotion onto the Football League, where I spent 3 seasons refereeing on the Football League from 1996 to 1999. Ended up that season 99 doing the playoff final, the first game at Wembley, Man City Gillingham. Fantastic, brilliant to it's like every player's dream to play at Wembley. It's the same for every referee, and I was lucky enough to referee at the new Wembley and the old Wembley. So that was fantastic. And then obviously that end of that season, I was promoted to the Premier League for my performances on the Football League. And then that's where from 1999 to 2000 and end of 2013, I spent all my seasons refereeing on the Premier League. And to say that first game, then Wimbledon Coventry at Selhurst Park, was fantastic. Just had to make sure. In them days, you either sank or swam, and luckily for me, I swam, and that's where I stayed for 14 seasons on the top 15 years on the top league.
When you went in front of the panel, I'm visioning like loads of top referees being there. So like Uriah Rennie, what was Rennie? Was it Rennie Kalu?
No, it was
referee. Do you remember him?
No, it was the guys that were in charge of and then I think then Davis. Philip Don, and he was in charge of the select group referees, and you had Ken Ridden, in charge in the Premier League, and the FA the FA referee secretary. So it was the Football League secretary who was in there. So you're in front of all these guys. So it is quite nerve wracking. But luckily for me, as I say, I got through it and never looked back really. And obviously, 2001, the ultimate thing for me was being promoted to the FIFA list, where the FA nominate you because they think you're good enough to referee internationally. So. I was very lucky to be nominated as a FIFA referee, where I spent until 2006-07, where I retired because I had to retire through age on the FIFA list.
When you go up on the FIFA list as a referee, does your money dramatically increase because you're refereeing players on such big salaries? To have that respect and equal boundary with them, do you have to be on a certain kind of money?
Yeah, you don't think about what their salaries are. They're just 22 players, and you go out and referee what's in front of you. But from 2001, we became professional, so we were paid a basic salary and our match fees. So we were professional. So that was it. That was our salary, match fees, and you went off and done what you did. You had your get-togethers every 2 weeks. You had your training schedules that you had to put in. So listen, it was that was it. We had a salary. And away we went.
A referee is very competitive amongst
each
other. So the fixtures.
Listen,
how come Mark's got Man United Everton or Man United Liverpool? How come this is happening? Are referees like that, or is it a less?
Well, no, I think. Listen, I can only speak for myself. Listen, things like that did bother some referees, but that didn't bother me. I couldn't care where I was sent, where I went. I just knew. I mean, obviously by doing those games, that you trusted. You trusted to bring the game home safely. It was all about getting, coming out of the games unscathed in this day and age. So I was quite pleased that then Keith, the PGML manager, Keith Hackett, liked me and trusted me. I go back a long way with Keith. I remember him assessing me on my first season on the Football League. So he always, he'd give me a absolutely glowing report. And I always remember it was at Lincoln City. He come and assess me. And then I always remember him again assessing me the second season. Sorry, it was Lincoln. No, it was Chesterfield. My first assessment was at Chesterfield. And then the following season, he come and assessed me at Lincoln City in Leyton Orient. I mean, I kicked off big time. It was a tough game, and I remember again, he gave me a right roasting, a right going over. So, but he done that deliberately to make me look at myself and the way I performed that game, and and put right perhaps some of the errors, because Keith was Keith was well respected because he was a big referee, FIFA international referee as well in his day. So, but then he became the boss of the PGMOL. And sort of our my general manager, which was he was really good to work for, a referee that had been there, seen it, done it, and knew how to look after his referees. Some referees needed a kick up the backside, some need a bit of loving, just like players. So listen, things like that never worried me. I was quite happy to go wherever I wanted to go. So whatever game I was sent to, I went and done my best and get treated like any other game, whether it be an international game, a Premier League game, whether I was in League One or League Two. Because the guys, when you go down and referee in League One and League Two, they know you're a Premier League referee, and you don't want them singing to your Premier League, you're having a laugh and all that when you're refereeing. So no, listen, some, as I said, some guys did look at the fixtures, and I just done whatever I was given.
You got to the position you got because you were unbiased. You called the game how you see it. Bearing that in mind, were there managers that tried to influence your behaviour, decisions, and pattern, whether it be consciously or unconsciously, in the build-up or in the lead-up to matches?
Nah, listen, not there would be some managers that, if things don't go their way, will say things to you, and I always used to say, because they used to bring the team sheets in and out before kickoff, and I'd just say, listen, they knew me. They knew, I was in the dressing room with some referees that would go on and on and on, talking to the captains and the managers. You could see their body language. Well, you shut up. They just want to get out. They just want to get out. And they just go, some referees would go on and on and on. And all I used to do was, listen, guys, enjoy it, smile. You know what you're going to get from me out there. Enjoy. And that was it, the way they went. So you're going to get, I mean, I always remember John Terry. John Terry was the one. He always used to come in and I always used to slap him around the face because, I got on well with John out on the pitch. And he just says to me, why do you always do that to me? Why do you always slap me around the face? I said, because I can't do it out there. So I knew he would have a go at me. But as I say, managers will know. Managers will want to speak to you if they feel they've been wronged. And as I said, I always used to say to the guys, listen, if you're not happy with me, you want to speak to me, don't come running on the pitch. Come and see me in my dressing room after the game, and then we can talk. And then we can, what goes on in my dressing room stays in my dressing room. And I didn't have too many in, you have one or two in, of course you do, but you agree to disagree, and you have an adult conversation, and then you say what you got to say, and you move on.
Who was the most hot-tempered manager in the Premier League during your time?
There was none really. I mean, I didn't come across any in my dressing room who were hot-tempered. I think because we had mutual respect for each other. I never had that problem. I mean, sometimes you'd have managers as you come off the pitch at half time. I mean, I always remember Tony Pulis used to do it, because he used to walk off at the Britannia Stadium into the corner, up the tunnel, and there was Stoke City's dressing room. The away team you go off to the left up, and it was up by our dressing room. So if Tony felt things weren't going his way, he'd always stand at the dressing room, at the door, waiting for you to come in, and he's come on, Mark, there's two teams in this. Hey, come on, there's two teams in. I can't say how he said it, because obviously it's a family show or podcast or whatever. So but some do. Some players used to say on the pitch, "Come on, give us a decision. Give a decision. There's two teams in this," and you just smile and get on with it. And as I said before, you've got to be mentally strong, mentally tough. That's what you've got to be. You got to expect that, and that's what you signed up for.
Who was the dirtiest player that you ever officiated?
Listen, I wouldn't say there was.
You knew when you looked at a team sheet that you had to keep a little eye on him. Who was that player?
Listen, there was many players that were physical, and that's what it was about. That's what it was about, and you knew your players who were physical. And you sort of you speak to them all the time. I wouldn't say there was players, many dirty players out there. There were just players that were enthusiastic and liked to go into a challenge. And I mean, you look at many players that were like to go in for a challenge. You look at Paul Scholes at Man U. He used to love a challenge, didn't he? But you know what you're going to get. Roy Keane was the same. Patrick Vieira, all the midfield players, Steven Gerrard, Jamie Carragher. They love going into challenges, and you just have to be speaking to them all the time. Alan Shearer up front with jumping, using his arms for leverage. You just have to be careful. You just knew, as long as stay switched on, mentally strong, and just referee what's in front of you. So listen, and you try to get them on your side. But a lot of the players, you knew that. I didn't come across many players that wanted to do anything behind your back. If they were going to do something, they done it in front of you.
Now you're going up the levels in the refereeing world. Your profile's starting to go up. Were people recognising you in the street at this point? Like after
I mean, I still get recognised now. Wherever I go. And listen, I think I was, I think I was one of the lucky referees where I never really got that much, abuse and criticism from fans. I maybe did later on in my career over one or two decisions, but on the whole, 99% of fans have always been good and honest with me, and I've always said it doesn't cost you anything to be polite and smile and speak back to people. You know, it doesn't cost you anything. So I've always taken that in you know, into wherever I've gone. You know, whether it's in my refereeing or it's in the street. You know, I'll always acknowledge someone. I'll always answer someone back if I can on social media. You know, politely. Yeah, listen, people have their points of views, and you've got to respect their opinions. I may have my opinion, and they may have their opinion. But one thing about football fans is that, you know, they're very knowledgeable about the game and about refereeing. People that, you know, the referees are very knowledgeable. So you have to treat them with the respect they deserve. Because I mean, for me, fans are just as important as players, managers, coaches. You know, for me, we're seeing now, you know, in all levels, without the fans, the game is nothing. The game's nothing, and we're seeing that now with this blasted pandemic. You know, the games are like pre-season friendlies, aren't they? You know, them fans give everybody a lift. Them fans give the players a lift. Them fans bring in the intensity to the game and the tempo. You know, it goes up and everything goes up. So, you know, let's give the respect that the fans deserve. And as I say, you know, I always remember coming back from me cancer and how fantastic they, you know, when I was diagnosed and the football family came together was marvellous and something I should never forget.
Now, as with anything, you're aspiring to get on with your job. You're doing the best you can. I think the reason the people liked you so much was because you came across as a normal man. You let the game flow, like you were a player's sort of ref. You enjoyed the game as much as the players did. Do you think that's the reason the general public take to you more away from the pitch and give you less of a hard time as to some of the other referees?
Yeah, I think, listen, as I said, I was a players referee. I like the game to flow, and that's what it's all about. The fans pay their money. They want to sit there and they want to be entertained. You know, they don't want to see a game that's stop, start, you know, blowing up, giving free kicks when it's unnecessary. Yeah, listen, there are times when you have to slow the game down because the intensity goes up. But all that means is you just, what you do is you don't you let the game flow. But what you do is, what I mean by slowing the game down is just slow the free kick. When you give a free kick, just slow the game down. You stand on the ball. You just, you know, slow it down, bring the tempo down, let the players calm down. And I think that, as I say, you know, I always let the game flow. And I spoke to players. You know, I engaged with the players. You know, and listen, they would have a go at me, and I would have a go back at them. You know, in the language that they understand. Because, you know, I spent many years training full time with, you know, Bolton under Sam Allardyce and other managers, and you know, refereeing, you know, the 8s and the 11v11s. The players are exactly the same on the training pitch as they are when they're playing their 90 minutes in their league games. So yeah, it was a good insight for me to get to see professional players and how they interact with themselves and with me on the pitch.
Now, you were diagnosed with a form of throat cancer.
Yeah.
Which I'm guessing made it very difficult for yourself to continue refereeing at that time. How did that impact your life, and how did you handle that?
It was. I'm not going to lie about it. It was really, really tough because 7 months earlier, my wife had been diagnosed with leukemia. So we were both diagnosed within 7 months of each other. So it was tough. It was tough, and you know, obviously having a young daughter at that time, young age, it was difficult. You know, Michelle was having treatment. She was on drugs and cancer drugs. I was having chemotherapy and radiotherapy, and it was tough. And you know, being told that, you know, I've got a battle on my hands, and if I did survive, I would never ever referee again at the top level. And yeah, that hit me really hard. So I think I took inspiration from that, and I thought, I'm going to prove people wrong. You know, I'm not going to lie, it was a tough 12 months, very, very tough 12 months. Well, longer than that, really, because after, you know, sort of trying to get myself back fit to fitness, so I'd say it was most probably a very tough 18 months. Yeah, it was, as I said before, it was, you know, I had some fantastic support. I mean, none for my wife Michelle. She was, although she was suffering, she was great with me. You know, looked after me, and obviously the football family and my family and friends. Without them, I wouldn't have most probably got through it. So, and obviously my professor Tim Illich, who looked after me, who sort of saved my life. You know, I've got the Christie Hospital in Manchester to thank for saving my life.
How was your mental health during this period? Because if one family member gets taken ill, it's very difficult. To have two family members ill at the same time, it must have been a huge burden on your mental health and your family dynamic.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I'm not an emotional person, but you know, after that, I seem to become very emotional. Like just very emotional. And I always remember I couldn't, you know, I couldn't get out of bed. I was ill. I couldn't, you know, once I'd had my chemo, I was just on the couch for days and days. And it was. I mean, I always have been mentally tough, mentally strong person. You know, I'm the sort of person that, you know, something happened to me, I'd think about it, I'd worry about it, and then I'd move on. I'd forget about it. So I think, you know, with my family and friends, and obviously with my wife Michelle, I think, you know, we got through it together. We got through it together, and I think once I started to turn the corner, because obviously she still goes for her tests now every 3 months with her leukemia. I think once I had that, once I'd gone all through my treatment, all my chemotherapy and my radiotherapy, and then I was told that I was in remission. I think it, you know, we started to sort of turn the corner a little bit, thinking, oh, I'm gonna, you know, I can beat this. The only thing back in my mind was, is it going to come back? Will it come back again? But touch wood, I'm okay at present. But no, it was tough, and I think, I mean, you know, my wife Michelle takes the, you know, all the plaudits for, you know, seeing me through and helping me, you know.
After that 18 months, and you were told you'd never officiate at the top level again, you defied the doctor's beliefs and you became a top level elite referee for the second time. Talk me through that period.
Yeah, I think it was tough. It was very, very, very tough. I remember trying to come back I came back far too early. I wasn't ready. I felt under pressure. I did feel under pressure. I think if I had a different, if I still had the same general manager, I think things would have been different. But anyway, I felt under pressure to come back early and get me fitness, do my fitness test. And I always remember doing my first fitness test. You know, I was less than a year before I was back training. I mean, I always remember me Professor Timmy said, if you undergo cardio training while you're battling cancer and taking your chemo and radio, it does help. So I remember doing some trying to do, you know, going up to Bolton Wanderers when I was okay to do a little bit of walking or a little bit on the treadmill, and I mean, after about 30 seconds, I was out of breath. I couldn't do it, and I just kept pushing myself. And I always remember taking a fitness test, and I mean, I didn't last 5 seconds. I remember breaking down, and I remember just getting so emotional. I just got in my car because we had this referees get together, and the guys were there, you know, doing their training. I was doing my training, running around the track. I remember just getting in my car and driving home and thinking, I ain't gonna. There's no way I'm getting back in this. And I remember, you know, the first person I rang was Professor Tim Illich, and he said, I told you, Mark. I said, it's going to be tough if you can get back. You're coming back far too early. Your body's not ready because all the poison, all the drugs they pumped in, and the steroids that they pumped in. And I always remember getting home, and my wife was there, and the next thing I know, she'd already booked holiday, and we flew out to Tenerife, Lanzarote, where we had some warm weather out there, and I always remember saying to our sports guru at the PGMOL, you know, can you give me some training data so I can go out and do some work? And he said, yeah, no problem. Sort something out for you. But then I got a phone call from him saying, sorry, Mark, I'm not allowed to give you any training advice because of, you know, your illness, just in case something happens to you and we become liable. I can't give you anything. So I went to the Bolton Wanderers sports scientist, and he gave me a program to do when we were out, when I me and my wife and daughter out in Lanzarote. And obviously I should have been out on holiday with my wife and daughter, but I was getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, going to the gym, and then going to do me running, and then coming back a couple of hours later, having my breakfast, and then spending the day with the family. So I found it very, very tough, very, very, you know, because you're on your own. You've got no one, there's no one else, you know, not like I'm at a football team or football club where you've got people there to help you. And, you know, I was refused. I mean, I was refused. They wouldn't give me a training schedule, wouldn't give me it, you know. So I understood that, but I thought it was a bit wrong, you know, that they didn't give me the training, but that's the way it is. So, you know, I remember going out there for a week, coming back quite fresh, but I still found it tough. You know, I'd already been out trying on warm weather training in the January out in Spain when we had a week off. Well, I was off anyway, but I went out there with a couple of friends, referee friends, Pete Walton and Alan Wiley. We went out, and Lee Mason. We went out to my place in Spain and spent the week out there. They come and play golf, and me and Alan trained on the bench trying to get me fit. You know, and I was doing sort of shuttles on the beach. Found it very, very difficult. I couldn't see myself coming. I nearly threw the towel in, but it was the guys that kept me going. And then luckily they come up for that summer. I sort of really worked all summer long. We were out, you know, once the season finished, I always come out to my place in Spain and spent the whole summer out here, and I just trained. And I came back, and I always remember, you know, passing my fitness test, because before that, I mean, I was obviously before, you know, when I was diagnosed, obviously the day before I refereed Everton Arsenal at Goodison, I just thought to myself, this is going to be my last game. I've got to do this game. You know, although I felt awful and looked awful, I got through it, and the assistants got me through that game. And luckily for me, there was no major controversy. And on that Monday after Saturday for opening day of the season, I was in hospital having my tumour removed. So, listen, as I say, it was tough. And then obviously doing all that training, I passed my fitness. I passed my fitness test. And I was back up and running. So I was overjoyed. I was overjoyed, and I thought I could be an inspiration to all those people that were battling cancer. And say, listen, we can give cancer the red card, and look at me, I'm back on the football field and doing something that I love. You know, I love football and love being involved in football. But I think, I think I managed another 3 seasons, and then my body just started to pack up, shut down. You know, after what I put my body through, after the radio and chemotherapy, and then coming back and putting my body through such punishing schedules, you know, to get myself back at the top level. I think, you know, my body just started to shut down and said, Mark, no more, because it's, you know, the training is high intensity. You've got to be fit to referee. You know, the game's getting quicker and quicker. So, you know, as I say, at the end of, I think I finished off refereeing Steven Gerrard's testimonial at Anfield in August 2013, and that was my last game.
I've got to say, I've got to applaud you for making that comeback from where you was with your illness to keep on and have the drive and the power and the enthusiasm to get yourself back to that top level. Massive achievement. Massive.
It wasn't easy, James. It was tough. It was tough, and you know, I see people now going through their illnesses with cancer, especially, you know, when I see young people, and I know exactly what I went through, and I'm thinking these young guys, you know, these young children that are battling, and obviously it's difficult now because it seems to have taken a backseat. You know, people battling cancer or battling any illness now, where COVID seems to has been pushed to the forefront, and they're getting I suppose you could say they're getting neglected, didn't they, with their treatment. So, I really, my heart pours out to these youngsters that, I know what I went through. I can't imagine what they go through when they're battling these illnesses.
I'd like to talk about one of the most heinous incidents in your career, which would have been the abuse that you suffered on Twitter by a group of fans after a decision that you made in quite a high-profile game. It was the Manchester United versus Liverpool game. You awarded a late penalty to Manchester United, which I'm guessing you believe that to be the right decision. There wasn't any bias.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was Liverpool Man United. It was Liverpool Man United at Anfield, and yeah, I mean, I sent off John Joe Shelby as well for a challenge, which I thought was endangering the player's safety. They both went in, and it was just I just thought that Shelby went in was a challenge that endangered Evans's safety. I know they both went in, but I just felt he was went in a bit higher. Yeah, listen, I mean, you look back at things, don't you? You look back at that game, you think, you're going through, have I made the right decision? The Premier League delegate thought I did on both instances. It would have been great to have had VAR there, wouldn't it? Was it an error from the referee on both incidents? And I think there was a penalty shout as well in the first half for, I think it was Suarez then playing at Liverpool, and I did think that was. But yeah, listen. As it was one of those things, it's a minority. On the whole, Liverpool fans are fantastic. As a football club, it's a fantastic football club. Both football clubs on Merseyside. Everton, the People's Club, fantastic football club, and it's the same with Liverpool. And I think that as a referee, mentally strong and mentally tough as I am, I know what you sign up for. But listen, I don't mind getting abuse, like the abuse that was directed at me. I can handle that. No problem whatsoever. But when it involved my wife and my young daughter, and some of the horrific things that were said, which I can't say on here, was horrific, then that's not right. That's not right. At the end of the day, it's a game. It's a game. There's more important things in life than football,
100%.
as we're seeing today. So, yeah, listen, the police were involved. It got sorted. Liverpool Football Club sent me a fantastic letter to me and my family, and as I say, it was a minority of fans. And that was closure for me. That was closure. The police dealt with it. Liverpool Football Club dealt with it, and that was it. That was closure. Let's move on.
I know it was quite hurtful for yourself, because you've got such a good rapport with people. I think that maybe hurt you a bit more, because I know you're.
Yeah, I think
would have a pint with the Liverpool fans in the pub and have a laugh and explain decisions. So I'm guessing that hurt you a little bit more.
It did, and that's when I began to think, because a couple of things happened that final season, 2012-13 season, and that made me think, is it time? Is it time to, at the end of the season, is it time for me to go? Is it time for me to go? Is it time for me to, hey, Mark, you've had a great career. Is it time for me to walk away? And of course, with that, with those last few months, feeling my body was telling me as well. I remember sitting in some dressing rooms thinking, do you know what? I can't be asked. I can't be asked going out second half. But I did. It's perfect. You've got to be professional. And I think that abuse. I think that, as I said, I can take it. But when it involved my family, that set the mind rolling. Is it time to just walk away? I've had a great career. I'm 53 years of age. I think being honest, I think if I had Keith Hackett still in charge as general manager, I think it would have been different for me. I think he would have appreciated what I'd gone through. I mean, because remember, they've never had a referee, an active referee, come back from cancer and refereed at the top again. And I think had I had Keith Hackett still in charge, I think, as I said, things would have been a lot more different, and I think he'd have looked after me differently to what I was with the current setup.
What was your last official game that you refereed in the Premier League?
But my last official game was it's great. I mean, it was great to finish. To be fair, I mean, Kieran Barrett was done the appointments. He was our sort of manager, and I asked to referee at the Etihad, because I always remember being invited by Manchester City to referee the first ever game at the Etihad when they opened the stadium, Manchester City v Barcelona. I refereed that game in 2000. I think it was 2000. Might have been 2001. I can't remember if it was. That's when the Etihad, when it opened to football. I think it was two. I think I may be wrong, but anyway, I refereed Manchester City Barcelona, and I was invited by Manchester City to referee that game. Bernard Alford, fantastic man, Bernard. He'd been all through. You know, he was at Oldham anyway. He was at Manchester City for years and years and years. You know, a legend at Manchester City. He's seen so many managers, and it's unfortunately, you know, we lost Bernard, you know, to cancer. You know, I was liaising on with Bernard. He'd phoned me up when he first got when he'd been diagnosed, and not, you know, so we had plenty, you know, loads of conversations, and unfortunately, you know, Bernard succumbed to the cancer, and I always remember him inviting me to referee that game. It was fantastic, and we became friends over the years, because, you know, people say, you know, football, you know, we're a football family. People say you can't become friends with people at clubs. Well, you can, because, you know, I was on the league for so many years, and you're refereeing the same teams, you see in the same faces. You know, I'm good friends now with Jimmy Martin, the kit manager. I become good friends with him when I was refereeing the games. You know, my first couple of seasons, because you see Jimmy's a legend of kitmen. You know, he's fantastic, and, you know, we have dinner together. He's got a place near me in Spain. We go out and we have dinner, and we talk, and, you know, we talk all things football. But, you know, coming back to it, so Bernard Halford invited me to do that game, and then my last game, well, Manchester City were at home to Norwich, and I asked if I could finish at the Etihad, you know, on the final day, and they sent me there, and it was a great, you know, really a great occasion. You know, obviously my wife was there. My daughter came. She was the mascot. They allowed her to be the mascot, which was great. Keith Hackett came. You know, I invited Keith Hackett to come, because obviously being my old boss and knowing what I'd gone through, so it was great. And, you know, great food, great. I think City lost that day. I think it might have been 3-2. It was a really great game. Chris Hughton was the manager. And, you know, at the end of the game, the stadium announcer had announced that this was my last game, and got a massive standing ovation from all the fans. It was quite emotional. As I did, you know, going back to Everton, my first game back. I mean, when I was ill, my last game was Everton Arsenal live on TV. My game back in the Premier League, or as a friendly, was Everton versus Everton Chile, which Everton invited me, and there was 26 fans there. When I ran out, the ovation I got was just unbelievable. And at the end of the game, I was presented by Everton with a plaque. You know, we've obviously getting beaten cancer and coming back to referee at the top level, and, you know, the standing ovation I got was just unbelievable. It was really, really emotional, and that's why I say, you know, that's why Everton's called the People's Club, because, you know, it's a fantastic football club, as is a lot of football clubs, you know, when, you know, that helped me. So yeah, it was that game. I always remember, you know, last game of the season. I think Norwich. I think. Some of the club members, I mean, give me some memorabilia, some shirts. And I went back in, you know, asked them to give me a shirt. They signed it. They threw me in the shower. and so it was good. I had a fantastic career, and I've got got a lot to thank the Premier League and the PGL for making me a professional referee. Fantastic, some great memories over the years, and made some good friends. As I say, in football, you make acquaintances, but that's correct. But I made a few good friends as well.
Fantastic career, top level referee, 12 years, some massive games, massive moments. Are referees the same as any other job in terms of they'll go out together, they'll eat together, they'll talk shop? Get a group of referees together, are they going to talk about decisions over the last sort of 3 months?
Yeah. I mean, listen, when we got our get-togethers, we used to go out now and again for a night out. It's just the same as any walk of life. In any job, you have your couple who you talk to, and you have a few that you're not so friendly with, or you don't have the banter with. You have your own little group. And that's the same. That's the same. We used to have our get-togethers. We used to go. A few of us used to go off in our rooms. We used to have our get-togethers. Drink a glass of red or two in our room. Put the world to rights. And obviously, it's the same referees that you used to phone up, during the week and speak to during the week, or even after a game. You only had a couple. I didn't. I only had a couple I could really trust, because you had to be careful what you said, and you say the wrong thing, they go running back and telling management, and that happens in all walks of life, and it happens in refereeing, it happens in the refereeing world as well.
Will a referee choose the linesman that he wants, or are you allocated the linesman by the FA?
No, you have the appointments officer for the select group manager will appoint us to a game, and the assistant referees that go with you on that game. Normally, you have a group of say six or seven assistant referees, that come into your pool, and you could get them anytime during the season. I mean, the guys like you see, like Michael Oliver, who I believe is our best referee, one of our top referees, he will have the same assistants. And Anthony Taylor will have the same assistants, because they're in the elite group and refereeing now in Champions League. So they will have the same assistants on their games who they go out with in the Champions League. So they all get to know each other, know how each other thinks, know how each other works.
Yeah, I was just wondering whether a referee would have a linesman that they particularly may not like each other.
Oh, well, there have been some of those where a referee has turned around and said to management he doesn't want that certain assistant working with him because they don't see eye to eye. So yeah, that, of course it does happen.
Yeah. After you decided to call time on your refereeing career, you've then gone into the punditry aspect with BT Sport, which is a fantastic position and a real position of profile as well. How did you find making that transition from referee to TV analyst?
No, I enjoyed it. Obviously, you got to be honest in what you're saying, as long as you're constructive in your criticism. And I think you can't sit on the fence, because you've got to give the public what they want to hear, regarding the laws of the game. And if a referee has made an error, you can't defend the indefensible. So listen, I really enjoyed it. I mean, I was learning all the time. I think it was cut short by certain circumstances that was beyond my control. I don't think I need to go in. I'm not going to go in. I'm not going to delve into that. People know what went on to get me removed from BT. But listen, that's life. I think everybody deserves a second chance. I think if I'd been, I just think I didn't get the right sort of training and backing for something that, it was something that was written that had my name to it, but wasn't me that wrote it, I should say. But listen, that's gone now. It's gone. I'm moved on. So I weren't gonna say who it was, and I thought, well, listen, my name's there, and I thought, it wasn't me. I didn't write it, but hey, listen, that's one of those things. I've got to take it on the chin and move on. So,
were you officiating when the first women officials were brought in to work with the FA at elite level. Were you around the sort of?
Yeah. Women who had assistant referees on the Premier League, and I think you got Sean. You got Sian Messi now, haven't we? So she's on. She was around when I was refereeing, and she's a very, very good assistant. She ran and lined to me a few times, and she excellent assistant. Excellent assistant.
When you think
and
of,
I think, sorry.
When you think of like refereeing, you think of it to be sort of a male-dominated old boys sort of club. How did the referees at the time handle the influx of new sort of female referees and assistants coming into the game?
Listen, it's not a problem if they're good enough and they're there on ability. Then there's no problem. And listen, we're seeing referees now. I mean, we're seeing one referee in the Super Cup. We've seen we've seen the woman referee in Germany. Is it Batani? Forget the name's gone now from me. But the official FIFA official in Germany, she's doing very, very well. Refereeing there. So listen, for me, if they're good enough and they've got the ability, then why not?
One of the most controversial things in football in recent years is to bring in VAR. The introduction of VAR to the game, it's changed everything from a referee point of view, from a fan's point of view, even to the pace of the game at certain times, from goal celebrations to not celebrations. May I have your honest thoughts on what you think about it as a former top-level official?
Well, yeah, listen, I'm all for VAR. It's here to stay. But I think in the EPL, it's not been implemented correctly. VAR is simple. It's simple. Was there a clear and obvious error or a serious incident missed by the match official? Simple. And what we're seeing is not clear and obvious errors, subjective calls by the referee, and VAR getting involved. They should not be getting involved unless it's a clear and obvious error. And I've been, obviously, I do a lot of work in the newspaper. I write a lot of columns in the Sun newspaper. And I've been batting on about this for a long, long time, about clear and obvious, serious incident missed. It just seems over the last perhaps couple of weeks, we're seeing, I know I've been batting on about it and I've been criticising VAR. It just seems that they're listening to what some of us are saying about clear and obvious, because every little contact they were giving. Last year they were giving penalties without the referee looking at the incident. The IFAB protocol, the on-field referee must make that final decision, and it was good that FIFA have made the PGML make sure that their referees view the monitor as it says in the IFAB protocol. So I think earlier on we've seen them making the call, giving penalties when we think, hang on a minute, that's subjective. We've seen this season subjectivity where they've given penalties. I think to mind Sheffield United, Fulham. A little bit of contact. Someone's got to clear the ball. He's caught the underneath of his boot. Referee Andre Mann is right there. No penalty play on. VAR recommends review. Referee's right under pressure. That's not a clear and obvious error. So why get involved? We saw, I think, Fulham Liverpool challenge gone in. I think it may have been by Robertson. I think on the Fulham player. I'm not sure. I can't remember who the player was, but it wasn't clear and obvious. Was there contact? Was there a foul? Was there not a foul? I didn't think there was. And all of a sudden, we're looking at it 6-7 times. The VAR's called the referee Anthony Taylor across to look at the incident, thinking it's a penalty. And I thought, Anthony Taylor was absolutely spot on. He stuck with his original decision. It was great to see a referee stick with his original decision. Now, had they not followed the IFAB protocol and FIFA's directive that they must go to the TV monitor to review, that would have been given as a penalty. Now, for me, as I said, clear and obvious. Clear and obvious. Yes, offside's factual. We know that. We know offside's factual. I mean, but I think the problem that I'm having problems with at the moment with offsides is, yes, there are some really, really tight ones. And I know that Kalina and Arsene Wenger are looking at ways of overcoming this. You know, when it's a toenail or it's his armpit or it's his heel is offside. So, you know, we always used to give the benefit of the doubt to the attacker. Well, now we don't. It goes to the defender, doesn't it? So we need to address that, because we've got to stop ruling out goals when it is so tight. When it is so tight, that's not what it's there for. But the thing that's annoying me at the moment with the new, the new rule with flagging and not flagging, is that we're seeing guys that are 1, 2, 3 yards offside, clearly offside. You can see straight away they're offside. They're offside. And what's happening is the assistant is keeping the flag down. 50 yards up, 50, 60 yards up the pitch, they're keeping the flag down. Now the forward's running through, the goalkeeper's coming out, or as soon as there's a shot or he shots or it goes in the goal, he puts his flag up. Now, I'm sorry, if you know it's clearly offside, let's put that flag up, because there's going to be a serious injury. There's going to be a serious injury when a player's running through and a goalkeeper or a centre half is running back to try and get in a challenge, or they clash, and someone, we've seen it already. We've seen it already this season with Van Dijk. That's why Van Dijk is out. Put the flag up straight away. Put it up straight away. If it's very, very tight, you can understand that. And when it's in and around the box, you can understand keeping the flag down just in case the ball's in the back of the net. Because if he flags and blows his whistle and the ball ends up in the net, then it cannot be reviewed. But as I say, I think VAR is good for the game as long as it's implemented correctly.
Has the game gone too far in removing the physicality? Like we mentioned, VAR is beneficial for the defenders now. Is it on the flip side of that? Is the game in favour of attacking players in terms of holding on to the ball and the amount of leniency they're going to get with players not being able to be physical and not being able to put tackles in?
Yeah, I think there is an element to that. I think it's a contact sport, so I think we want that. That's why our game is thrived upon around the world. Everybody wants to watch Premier League football. Everyone. Because it's physical contact, and we've still got to allow that physical contact in the game. We have to, because it's part of it. It's part of. That's why our game is so good. It's, as I say, it's watched around the world. Even I think the EFL, the Championship, is watched by more people than watch Serie A in the Italian league. Do you know what I mean? More people, more fans go to the Championship games than they do in Serie A.
Now, if you could change one decision you made on the pitch or one decision that you didn't make, now bearing in mind, I know you've refereed a lot of games, so I'm going to ask you to think about maybe one of the more high-profile decisions that sticks with yourself. You could change one decision you made or one decision you didn't make on the pitch. What would that decision be and what game?
I think, if looking back, I mean, obviously it's many decisions, but I think looking back, if I wish VAR was around the time. There's one game, it was Wigan v Newcastle, and I missed an awful challenge. My view was blocked as the challenge went in. A player ran straight in front of me, and it was an awful challenge. It was McManaman on Herrera of Newcastle, and I mean, it was an awful challenge. So, I mean, if I look back over my career and all, there was a few things I wished. I mean, I changed my mind at Fulham. Arsenal one game where I give a penalty. The assistant said to me it wasn't marked, so I went with the assistant. But I think that challenge that hurt me. That really hurt me for a few days when I saw the challenge. That was the one that it was to say I'd love to have had VAR then, because he was no doubt he would have been off. The man would have been gone. Awful challenge.
You could go back in time, like Groundhog Day, and you could only referee one match over and over again for the rest of your life, what match would that be and what day?
What do you mean, referee one game that I've refereed?
Yeah, one game, like when a footballer thinks back on their career, there'll be that 1 or 2 games where everything just went right. Everything was perfect.
Well,
The crowd
no,
was perfect,
I
the
mean,
pitch was perfect. What was your game?
listen, I had some fabulous games. I mean, I had some fabulous games in top games. I mean, I think one that I always, I mean, listen, some great games, but there's one game that I always remember. In the professional level, there was a couple. Really. There's one that I refereed Portsmouth and Reading in the Premier League, and it finished up 7-4, 7-4. And I only gave 12 free kicks in that game. And I always remember I got criticised by the assessor that I missed a sending off for violent conduct. And I only gave 12 free kicks, but reviewing it, I appealed it, and it was never an act of violent conduct, so I got all my marks back. But yeah, I mean, listen, that was a fantastic 7-4, eh?
7-4.
7-4. What a game! What a game!
I know you've had some success with your autobiography that was written by a very, very good writer. Are there plans for yourself to come back into the TV front, or are you going to stick to the writing and the newspaper side? What's the plan going forward?
Listen, I'd love to be involved in coaching. I'd love to be involved. I think I've still got a lot to offer. Referees at the top level, but obviously that won't happen in the UK. But I'd love to get back involved in that aspect but obviously that's not for me. That's for perhaps people involved in TVs to look at me and give me a second chance. But listen, I'm happy. I'm happy with my life. You make do with what you do and make ends meet. So listen, I've been lucky enough to go to America, Colombia, Peru, and coach referees, which I absolutely loved every minute of it, and I'd love to still be involved in coaching referees. But who knows? Who knows what's around the corner? Who knows? Who knows?
I've got to say, I thoroughly enjoyed your company today. It's been a great pleasure to talk to you about your career and go over your stuff. Fascinating. I find it really fascinating. It's not often I get a chance to speak to a top level official about life and football. So thank you ever so much for facilitating.
You're welcome, James.
It's been a real pleasure.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
Take care. Stay safe.
Enjoy the rest of your week and the sunshine out there.
I will do, yeah.
I look forward to catching you up again real soon in the future. Top man.
Take care. Stay safe, pal. Stay safe.